From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and this is the NFL Bet Exchange. And you know who I got with me, the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we are back for Week 18. Let's go ahead and see how it goes today, Jeff. It should be a great week of football that we have ahead of us. We had an unfortunate situation that happened Monday night that kind of threw some things into a little bit of a shaky situation towards the playoffs and everything like that. But knowing the NFL, they'll figure it all out. Everybody be mad about something, but it's all good. Somebody's going to have to cry a river about something, right?
Yes, obviously thoughts and prayers to Damar Hamlin, his family, everyone. Monday night was my bowling night. I was driving home, and I had the Yahoo app right there, just following it on the phone, and there was like a 15-minute delay, and I'm like, someone must have got hurt. I assumed, of course, it was T. Higgins. And then my producer calls me, goes, you see what's going on? I was like, I don't. He sent me the video. I got home. Just the pictures in my mind of the faces of, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and some of the other players, just like shock. And then, I'm hearing good, positive news, and that's where we want to keep that. As for the NFL, I mean, best case scenario, honestly, for the NFL is on Saturday. If Kansas City lost, then they could breathe a little breath of fresh air, knowing that Buffalo would be the 1 seed. I'm seeing 9.5. Most likely it won't happen. A million different ideas. I've heard the crazy idea where they put Cincinnati Buffalo next weekend with the NFC wildcard games, and then the following week the NFC will have it off and the AFC will play. I mean, there's a million scenarios. I know nothing. So we're just going to sit back and wait and see what happens, Pops.
I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to offend anybody, because my opinion is, because I don't have the PC opinions that everybody else has. And so I'm going to just keep them to myself, because that's the best thing to do. That's what the elders taught me. They said, if you have something to say that might shake up some folks and you don't want to be the shaker, then just keep it to yourself. But all in all, this is the one thing I'm going to say. And I know it might ruffle some feathers, but you know what? We're all grown folks here. You shouldn't be getting yourself so riled up about football anyway, right? So if this scenario was to happen, say, in a playoff game, I don't think that they stop in the playoff game. So that's just where I'm keeping that at. You know what I mean? So, what you call it? I don't think they would be stopping the game, the playoff game. But all in all, they made a decision. It was a tough decision, but we both know, Jeff, that they'll have some type of fallback plan now in place for moving forward on this as well, too.
That's what they usually do. This is a billion dollar business.
Right.
Again, it's someone's life here. And the fact that his mom and his family was in the stands, we've never seen anything like it. We've seen a play happen and the players have heard the bone snap and they point right over to the medical staff. They come in, and we always wait for the thumbs up. Well, this guy, unfortunately, literally died on the field, and it was a medical staff that was trying to resuscitate him to bring him back to life, which they eventually did. We hope, and obviously we don't know the situation there, but something we've never seen before, and it was a tough spot. It really was. Initially, what was it? Joe Buck says, all right, we'll be back and start in 5 minutes, guys, get warmed up. And then, the Cincinnati coach crosses the field and says, hey, whatever you guys want to do. And it was a tough spot. I think it was, in the most part, handled well. I mean, other than Skip Bayless's tweet, but we talked about that. That's for another show anyways. But,
one thing is, though, everybody else was talking about the game was important, too, that we're on TV as well. It's just that Skip is like a not white person, so everybody's going to jump all over him. It's like the kid that you just don't like in the classroom. And so the moment he mentions something, it doesn't matter what he said at the end of it, is what he said at the beginning of it. And that's what everybody's reacting to. So let's just go ahead. Let's talk about week 18 football, because that's what we're here for, is to talk about football. So we got week 17 results. As you guys can see, we have a game that was not here. So I'll finish 9-6. Jeff finishes 8-7. Just one thing though, it was a hell of a sports day that day as well too. There's a lot of sport events that went on, and that was supposed to be like the end of the night for all of us. Like, well, man, we ended with a great NFL game, but it is what it is. But Jeff is 120.98-4. I am 117.103-4. So, you guys are making some money off of us this year. Act like you guys can comment or something like that sometimes as well. Rotten folks, you just take the money and run.
You can go to PayPal, Cash App, Apple, whatever, Venmo. We do take tips. Before you know it, we'll have to start a GoFundMe.
Right. And then, the haters are going to be like, look at him begging. All right. So here we are. We got the Chiefs 13-3, Raiders 6-10. Raiders have Stidham at quarterback this week. And, the Chiefs would have loved to rest Patrick Mahomes this week, but they don't have that luxury to rest him this week. My thing is like this. I know that a lot of teams are trying not to get their best players hurt. So going 100% probably isn't going to happen on the Chiefs side, because, yeah, that's great. They get a bye and everything like that. But I'll be honest with you, the Chiefs have played really magnificent football since their bye, and they've lost one game in the process. So, this team is really, I know, and I'm giving them a lot of props for a person that really just gives them the blues all the time. But they're playing like an absolute machine right now. This might be the best I've seen this group, period, point blank, without being an overall team. You know what I mean? Where it's not reliant just on the offense, where the defense actually steps up and does a great job, even though they had some close calls with Denver. Other than that, they've played some pretty good defense, in my opinion. And I think that what happens with the Chiefs are this. They're going to kick the best teams, you know what. But against the bad teams, they'll always have a little bit of a, they'll be a little shaky, because they're not trying to kill themselves in that game either. You know what I mean? A lot of people got to understand that. They know that if they play with 60, 70% effort, they'll win the game. It's that simple. You know what I mean? You want to say 100% all the time, but when you're as talented as them, where you have no flaws in the running game, no flaws in the passing game, you got a great offensive line, you got a great pass rush going. The only thing that's wrong with the Chiefs is the I would say the pass defense. And everybody's pass defense is a little atrocious in the NFL if we think about it. So, this one right here, I feel like the Raiders had a nice little moment because they were playing against the Niners, but the Raiders, they have a lot of issues, and they got a lot of things that they need to fix, and it ain't going to get fixed in a week. And Jarrett Stidham is not the answer moving forward as a long-term quarterback. Had a great game, but when you have Waller and Adams, aren't you supposed to have a pretty good game? So pretty much I would need to see a little bit more out of Stidham for me to believe in anything he's doing. And you know what? Josh McDaniels just lost me pretty much point blank once he got sat down, once everything came out about what they did surrounding Derek Carr. So pretty much the Raiders will not be anything worth even talking about until they get rid of Josh McDaniels. And this is somebody who's a Josh McDaniels supporter, who's all gung-ho about Josh McDaniels. But now it's just like, get this guy out of Las Vegas immediately. But that's not going to stop me from taking the Raiders with the +9, though, because it's 9 points, Jeff, and they had a very close game last time they played. So I'll take the Raiders with the +9. I got to dog you before I say I'm going to take you.
You know something? The comical part is, again, the whole world was up in arms. They absolutely, bring in Josh. And I told you You take the 617 to the 702. It doesn't matter. You're still bringing the 617 with you. He's a great offensive coordinator. Put the headset and put him in total control. No. And the funny is now, Josh is staying. The management's already said, hey, we're too heavily financially invested in him. So now he's going to draft a quarterback. He's going to go full court press to try to bring Tom over there because Tom is not playing in Tampa next year. He's going to retire, or Tom's going to go shop around, see where he can go. Okay. You spent all that money on Devontae. And listen, I finally saw the light. I've never drafted him in fantasy. And he made that toe tap catch on the left side. And I'm like, you leave him to me in the back end next year, and I'll finally bite the bullet and I'll take him. But here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm hearing those rumors where you're going to trade Devontae and try to move up in the draft, and I don't know what the hell's going on there. The one thing I do know is Patty Mahomes is circling the wagons. He's like, come on down, because he's got his table all set up at the Spearmint Rhino after the game, after he puts a butt whooping on the Raiders. It's going to be early and often. He's going to discount, double check, whatever you want. I bought the half minus the 9. Patty, they put up 30-plus pops, and Stidham had a great game last week, and that was last week. Got a little film on Mr. Stidham this week. It's the Chiefs all day. It's the Chiefs all day, pops.
Look. And Jeff said, Spearmint Rhino. You know Patrick Mahomes is going to Chippendales. What are you talking about? The private room over at Chippendales on Switch and Self. His wife will not allow that. He gets to go to, they'll get to go to the go to my place over there in the Mandalay Bay and go home for the night.
They're going to end up at In-N-Out Burger down by the Ferris wheel.
Right. Exactly. That's where they'll wind up at. What's called. So let's get to our next game. Titans Jags. This is for the AFC South title. It's just been a sad sight. We just know that this Titans thing is over with. Let's just keep it real. It's done. It's through. You know what I mean? It is entering its final phase. But it's the Titans, though, don't you think, Jeff? It's the Titans. It's simple as. I mean, this team has always been a team that has always played really great during the regular season. But they're always a team that figures out a way to kind of fall apart. And that's exactly what's happening now. This team was actually like creme de la creme, and they looked like, they might have the easiest way to the playoffs because they literally were dominating their division for a good amount of time. And then what happens is that there was kind of a glitch in the matrix, and then next thing you know, these guys are literally like they're not even playing anymore. Like, they're not even playing good football anymore. And it's just as crazy to me because the Titans, for a moment there, looked like a team that could really be annoyance. Like, I'm looking at them right now. They were 7-3, Jeff, at one point this year. They were 7-3. They had just beat Green Bay by 10 at Green Bay on a Thursday night. We all were like, well, we got to respect where the Titans are coming from. They had just won. That was their 4th win in 5 games. And then they've just went off and lost 6 in a row. And Cincinnati was close. Philadelphia blowout. Jacksonville blowout. Last week against Dallas wasn't a blowout, but it was a game that you knew was out of the loop for them. But then they lose 2 close games to the Chargers and Houston. And also, they lost a close one to Cincinnati. So this team just is really – and the biggest problem with them is, Jeff, is this team can't get into the 20s. They scored in the 20s one time since then. Now, we look at the Jaguars. The Jaguars were already written off. The Jaguars went on a 5-game losing streak. Pretty much everybody was done with them, right? Then they get a bye. After that Kansas City loss and after a good comeback win over the Raiders, they lose to Kansas City, looking at themselves, hey, you know what? This probably isn't going to happen for us this year. What do? They get a lucky win against Baltimore that we all thought. And then they get blown away by Detroit. And then next thing you know, these guys have turned into absolute world beaters. They beat Tennessee by 14. They beat Dallas in overtime 40-34, dropping the most points they've dropped in like the last 5 years in a game. Then they absolutely dominated the last two games. Jeff, peep this. Their score in the last two games, 50-6. 50-6. So this team is playing very good team ball right now, very good chemistry. You can see that Trevor Lawrence is now getting comfortable in the NFL world as well too, and he's not worried about what the critics and the haters got to say, because we all knew it was going to be a process in Jacksonville as well too. But there's just nothing you can do with the Titans right now. So I'm going to take the Jags with the 6.5. I know it's a lot of points for the Jags this year. It's not a good spread to take them on, but I think that they'll go ahead and take care of their business in this spot.
You know, this Jaguar team, as you said, two teams going in entirely opposite directions. What Mike Vrabel was known was to get that team ready. You knew you were in for a fight, especially on the road, when you wanted to count this team out. Numbers starting to trend down. We bought the hook. We got the Titans +7. Josh Jacobs announced again. Obviously, Malik is not ready. This has got to be Henry left, Henry right, Henry up the middle. This Jaguar team, listen, I'm not going to go out and anoint and say Trevor Lawrence is who now we thought he was. But you think about, he's finally got his coach. They brought Christian Kirk over. Okay, they got a very good young running back with ETN. They have Zay Jones, who's had a big year. They brought Ingram over. And everyone forgets, they made a trade midseason. Next year, they'll have Calvin Ridley. So offensively, and all you fantasy guys might want to keep an eye on Trevor Lawrence as he slides in your drafts, and you might want to be a part of him. Titans +7. Vrabel gets them ready. Dobbs doesn't make mistakes. Do I expect the Jags to win? In a close one, I do. Would not be shocked if Big Mike sets the world on fire and says, not so fast, guys. Henry has a big day and the Titans steal it.
Right, because when it comes down to the real X's and O's and the real, who's going to make a call that could win the game, you're going to bet on variable all day. It
Absolutely.
doesn't matter what the spread is, and we've seen them win with less, to be honest with you. We truly have. But this goes and answers everybody's question. Ryan Tannehill wasn't better than Mariota.
No.
And I think that was just more about, Titans fans having this dream that they were supposed to be winning a Super Bowl or something of that nature. I don't know, Jeff, but you know how these delusional fans are. They get a guy, they draft a guy second, and automatically they think they're entitled to winning a NFL Super Bowl. No, it's not. You're not entitled to anything. But as we can see, the last, I would say, 7 years, we haven't had these quarterback classes have been absolute. They haven't been what they were hyped up to be. Drafting 6 quarterbacks in the first 15 picks and things like that, it's not working out too well. And I thought everybody learned their lesson from 1999 when Tim Couch got drafted, the Tim Couch draft, Jeff, but they just never going to learn.
And I just want to give you a quick breaking news. It's not breaking because everyone's trying to report
it.
Are
they finally going to give us a score for the damn Bengals-Bills game? So I can move on?
Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk is reporting the Bills and Bengals will be declared a no contest. Says an announcement can be expected this afternoon. Ross Tucker added to it and says 2 ideas that the NFL is considering per Adam Schefter. Number 1 seed gets to pick either home field advantage or the bye, and the number 2 seed gets the alternative. If Buffalo or Cincinnati is in the AFC Championship game, it becomes a neutral site game. So let the games begin, Pops.
Yep, they ain't never going to stop a game again, bro. I'm going to tell you like this. Y'all could cry a river about that, but y'all put the NFL in a really, really bad spot.
Pops, you want to hear something? And as you know, I'm in high stakes, the NFFC in fantasy football. and I made one of my teams made it to the playoffs. 3-week swing for $250,000 on top. And after week 1, we were 15 points out. Didn't have a good week 2. We were not going to have the opportunity to get that sweat. When I mean the sweat is that team had Joe Burrow, it had T. Higgins, and it had Gabe Davis. So I could only imagine if I was close to the lid with those 3 horses, and now this happens, and now the fact that I wouldn't have got the opportunity, unfortunately, for the 60 minutes to see if I won $250,000.
Well, man, I'm telling you, luckily for me, I was already up 60 by the time we got to the game, and I just got Josh Allen. And the guy I'm playing had Mixon. So it had already said 100% you're going to win the game. It already been giving me the 100% is because, look, I had one of my best Sundays, period, point blank, with teams. I had 4 guys in the 20s, and then everybody else was in double digits except for Miles Sanders. So we had a day. That's all it is. You know what I mean? We just had a day. And hopefully, and I'm glad that they didn't say, okay, we'll just reset the game for next week. It was disgusting how Bart Scott blamed T. Higgins. Checking my head, that was awful. Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was just, but see, before we get into this game right here, the Bills and the and let me get it right. The Bills and the Pats. That wasn't T. Higgins' fault. That's football, man. It happens. You know what I mean? That's football. It happens, dude. It just everything was a very unfortunate situation. It was a freak situation. Can we have an opportunity to have a freak situation in life? You know what I mean? I guess that, but since the game was on Disney, everybody has this idea that you're supposed to the fantasy of getting things fixed will be fixed right away. I know, Jeff, right? It's just because it's Disney, right? So everybody's imagining that, that this is just a part of the script, a part of the movie. Now you know that this stuff ain't rigged, huh? So, that's my thing. But all it is that I think that a lot of people have to understand these guys are put in place on TV, even us talking about the sport, is to get reactions, okay? And nobody sign up to make sure you agree with everything that they're saying. You have to have somebody say something that's going to get up under your skin. And Jeff, we both know that because that's the person that moves the needle, is the person that's going to get up under your skin. You know what I mean? The person that's going to be nice. And this is why when I used to do Capcast, there used to be people that came on like you regularly all the time. And then there were people that came on once. And they came on once because they agreed with everything I was saying. They never had anything to really challenge me. And I'm not trying to be somewhere where somebody's just going to agree with everything that I'm saying. And that's what we have to really understand in this world that we live in, is that, we have to let people have their little moment, and then there's going to be a reaction to the moment. And then what happens is you get all this talk on social media. And that's exactly what it is. I said, don't fall for fake outrage. These people have a job to do. It's that simple. But Pat's Bills, Jeff. I know this is going to be the a-hole take of them all, because I'm going to be real quick with this one. The Pats ain't losing this game, brother. They not losing this game, because I'm going to tell you like this. If that was the Pats in that situation, Belichick is playing. Belichick is playing. Belichick already is seen as one of the most rotten people in the world. But Belichick is playing. Belichick would have called the league and said, well, they forfeit then. Oh, well, you know what I mean? And Jeff, you know this. I know you don't want to really answer, but Belichick is continuing the game. Seriously. Belichick is going to continue the game. But I think the Bills might be a little too emotional this week. and they know that they're already in the playoffs as well too. And since they came out with this new thing about what you just announced, do they really care? You know what I mean? Since everybody keeps saying they don't care about football, they only care about their teammate right now. I can't trust you on Sunday at all. I don't care because I like my money. I like my money a lot. So I'm gonna go with the Pats plus 7.5, Jeff. Your thoughts? I don't want to go too far into this game because I don't see anything good going for the Bills on Sunday.
No, I think what's going to end up here is this: we bought the hook. We took the Pats plus 8. I can't see the let's win one for DeMar on Sunday. What I can see is the 1 seed, which everyone wanted to go through Buffalo, circle the white, is meaningless because, like Buffalo, like Cincinnati, like the Chiefs, any one of those 3 teams can win on the road. They don't care if they were playing in the parking lot. They could play, and they would take it to the parking lot, and best team wins. So at this point, maybe it's still a state of shock. Again, when I have found out in these lanes for a long, long, long time, when it comes to seeding versus must win to get in, you always take the must win to get in versus the seeding. As much as we want to say, of course, Buffalo wants the number 1 seed. Of course, they want the bye week. I get all that. But the mental part and the physical part always seems to the sense of urgency. Buffalo already knows they're in, whether the 1, the 2, or the 3 seed. They already know that. They don't care. Just the NFL tell them where to go, they'll go. So I'm following your lead. I'll take the more desperate team in the Pats plus the 8 points. Are they going to win? Who the hell knows? I mean, Mac Jones could throw 4 picks and Buffalo wins 52-0. Or they could still just be going through the motions to say, hey, we're all set. You know, we'll be fine. Just tell us where we're going next week. So we took the Pats plus 8 pops.
I just think that Belichick, when he has to play you a second time, his game plan is going to be legit and ready to roll. You know what I mean? I think that they just were really out of their element in the first game. In this game right here, the Pats are playing good football coming into the game already. So that's why I really do like the Pats moving forward in this spot. But we'll take the spread. We won't go crazy and say money line, though. Even though I do have them on my Week 18 winners this week as well, too. So let's move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into the next game before we go on a break. And this one actually took a weird turn, Jeff, because it says 3.5, but that was because I did this Monday night and thinking we're going to do the show Tuesday. So things have changed. So I put us in the right accord, Jeff, because now it's went to Minnesota being a 7.5 point favorite in this game. And what they're doing in Vegas is this. The lines makers know what they're doing here. Minnesota hasn't won a game in Chicago in some time now. Okay. And I know that they're like, well, there's going to be no Fields. And the thing is, we don't trust the Bears because there ain't going to be no Fields, right? Wrong, because the Vikings have not been playing good football at all. And they literally have been having issues with teams that they're not supposed to be having issues with. So how can you trust the team to come in here at 7.5, knowing that Kirk Cousins is probably going to be on the bench? So what they're doing is they're setting everybody up for failure, in my opinion. So I'm about to be one of those people that will set themselves up for failure as well, too. I'm taking the Vikings with the 7.5.
Minus the 7.5?
Minus the 7.5, because they're not a plus anymore.
No, I see what you said. Yeah, because I'm looking at the spreadsheet as we speak.
Yeah, they moved. And then I moved yours too.
All right. So yeah, we'll ride the Vikings. We'll take
I'll take the Bears.
All right, I'll take the Bears plus 8. No Josh, no Justin Fields. Again, a team going through the motion. Now, don't forget at this point, why would they even try to win? They want to get as lower draft spot as they possibly could. Not a problem. And that's why, again, as these implications come in, these who's playing, who's not playing, we waited a couple extra days here. I'll take the Bears plus 8. Let's hope Minnesota wins by 7. How's that sound?
Let's get it. Hey, and my thing is like this, Jeff. I see something where what happens here with this situation is that you have a Bears team that literally can get the first pick here, and the Bears, regardless of what anybody thinks, Bears are picking defense. But I would say this: the quarterback position is not going to be the first position taken in the draft this year. Even Houston can opt out of that idea as well too, because Houston can tell themselves Derek Carr is going to be on the market. We can go get us a defensive player. You know what I mean? And I would think Houston would probably want to go in that route as well too. These are the two teams that this is the one team I know that's going to be going for a quarterback, the Saints. So, and I would say the Saints fit would be CJ Stroud, but the fit for the team for like the fans would be Bryce Young because he went to Alabama. So, but the talent, the big talent will be in CJ Stroud. So, it's up to them. But with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, we'll jump into our second set of games. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back with the NFL Bet Exchange. It's your host, Pop DiBiase, in the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And since I keep blabbing, I'm going to let Jeff take the floor for this first game that we're going to talk about, because it's his boys, the Bengals and the Ravens, going at it in this one. And you got Ravens 10-6. You got the Bengals 11-4 coming into the game. 11-4. Actually, they're 12-4, right?
Who's that?
They're 12-4, correct? I think
the Bengals.
Yeah, they're 12. No, they're 11-4 because they didn't finish the game.
They didn't.
You know what I mean?
This game is. The Ravens are just that scab that keeps coming back, and I don't mean it, in a derogatory way. They're just. Lamar's hurt. They bring in Hundley. And again, watching the game last week, it's a typical Baltimore Pittsburgh game. It doesn't matter where those two play. Their defense hadn't allowed a touchdown in 15 quarters. The defense is playing fine. The offense is just so bad. And for some reason here, I bought the hook, took the Ravens plus 7.5. If Cincinnati gets out and run and forget about it, I'm trying to find the under over here. 42. I mean, I for the cover, the Ravens got to find a way, Pops, to get to at least 17. Vegas has this at 24-17. That's where they got it. So Ravens need at least 17. Can they do it? I don't think the Bengals have allowed 17 points on defense, more than 17 in forever. So we took the Ravens. We bought the hook. We got them at 7.5. We're just going to pray, Pops.
All right. Jeff, keep it real, though. Real quick, college basketball question.
Mm-hmm.
Who's better, Stonehill or Wagner? And I know Kim Palm and them have their rankings and everything, but I don't consider those two teams the best teams in the NEC. And I watch college basketball. So should I come out with my own rankings too?
Well, you know something? I'm just going to say this. One of our clients who graduated at Stonehill is a big fan of them. I've been watching them progress. Now, don't forget, this is the first year, obviously, that they stepped to the plate with the big boys here. Ken Palm has them at 320, Wagner at 294. I just like the way Stonehill is trending in this regards. I mean, if you want to break it down, I mean, they're 5-11. Their only win was against Sacred Heart, Binghamton, and Eastern Nazarene team, who I used to coach against. They beat Holy Cross and the Army. A Wagner team who's more experienced, who's used to this, is at 8-5. I'm just saying the number tells you lean Stonehill here, because 8-5 versus 5-8, they're giving Stonehill a lot of props here. Wagner coming off a 10-point loss at home to Merrimack too. So on paper, Wagner's the better team. Just the hint that Vegas has given me, I think Stonehill might get them tonight.
I think the best team in the conference, though, this year isn't either one of those teams. I think St. Francis, PA is the best team in the conference. And Fairleigh Dickinson's having a good season, too.
Yeah, and then Merrimack is at 3-4. I mean, the teams that you just talked about, okay? Stonehill's at 348. I'm sorry, Merrimack's at 348, Stonehill at 320, St. Francis at 341, and they got Wagner at 294. So per Ken Palm, Wagner's the highest rated of them.
Okay. Well, that's what the dude was telling me right now. But I like the Ravens here. Bengals don't have much to play for. They're not going to have an emotional issue going on. But one thing the Bengals do have in their accord is they're great fans. And I think they do want to send their fans home with the great final game of the season, regular season. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, they're going to host a playoff game for sure. But this is also for, let's keep it real, Jeff. This is for the AFC North as well. Too. It's not like it's for, just a football game. It's for the AFC North. It's for the division. So they're gonna have they can't just say we're gonna just we're just gonna be cool about things. But that's why taking the Ravens is not a hard deal, because it's gonna be a really good game. And regardless of what anybody thinks, Huntley's a hell of a quarterback. Let's just keep it real, Jeff. He's a really good quarterback. He's not Lamar, but he's a good quarterback. He's serviceable. I think the Texans would have won a couple more games if he was their starter. Think about that. You know what I mean? So Ravens +7. I love it. I like it. Let's go.
Pops, let me ask you a quick question. Seeing, we were talking 4 or 5 weeks ago, the Dolphins getting ready for the playoffs. Obviously, Tua hurt again. We know that the Ravens decided not to give Lamar this big extension. Now, they have the option, obviously, to franchise him next year and the year after. Just some rumblings I'm hearing. Obviously, if you let Lamar go, you got to redo the whole offense. But with the defense that just is, always seems to be there. And then, now you start to look at Lamar here a couple times now getting injured. The question is this: if available and you're the Dolphins, would you go all in with Lamar?
Yep.
Okay.
No doubt. No doubt. Because he's a Florida kid. Florida is where he made his name at. And I know it's a really risky situation, though, too, because he's coming home to Florida. But if you're Miami and you really want to become a team in this league, you want to become back to being the Don Shula Dolphins, because there's the Don Shula Dolphins and it's these Dolphins, okay? There's two different Dolphins situations, okay? And if you want to be like them Don Shula boys that know the playoffs are going to be there every year and you're going to be seen as one of the best teams in the NFL every single season, you go after Lamar, because you have everything else in place but a quarterback that can consistently win for you. And that's the biggest thing for the Dolphins right now. Once they find a quarterback that can consistently win, the Dolphins can do whatever they want. They'll be winners again. And, and people have to understand the Dolphins are another team. The NFL is in a good place when they're a good team as well, too. They're in a really good place. You know what I mean? Because there's about 5 teams that are really the heartbeats of the NFL. And believe it or not, the Miami Dolphins are one of them because they went undefeated. They helped with the product of the NFL, what it is today. And a lot of people are Dolphins fans simply for that reason as well, too. There's people that never lived in the city of Miami, but they're Dolphins fans. That's significant. So I would say yes. If I'm the general manager, yes, because Tua, great kid, great story, but this is not it. This is too much of a press situation here. You know what I mean? It's too Tebow here. You know what I mean? It's just too much of a Tebow spot, and Miami's not the place for that. It's just not. You know what I mean? And I thought too it was a great story to squash on the haters, all that stuff, because he's been doing it since the national championship game. But it's just that he's not. It's just too testy of an injury. This even wiped out Steve Young as well too. After a while, everybody's like, "We got to save Steve Young," you know, and that's what it's reminding me of. The same things that used to happen to Steve Young out there, and you don't want to see Tua 12 years from now and he can't remember his kid's name. You know, it's just I think he'd be better off just being a nice assistant coach. You know what I mean?
And I think, and I'm not comparing what happened on Monday to this because, you know, the seeing Tua on the field with the hands and the fingers, you know, and then obviously concussed again, those interceptions were mind-boggling. I think, and this is just my opinion, and I don't know how they skirt the union, but the NFL is going to step in here, and I don't know how they could do it with, hey, we need you to take a year off. We need to do more investigated research. We do not want to see exactly what you just said, Pops. Maybe he still gets paid by the team or he gets paid a stipend. I have said, hey, go back to damn Alabama. You got paid. You got money. Go to Bama. Go coach with Saban. Do something. Go upstairs for the Dolphins. But there's no way he should be behind center for anyone in the NFL in September of next year.
No, not at all. But possibly but you know, Kenny Pickett had 2 concussions this year too. Nobody even cares, you know. But Tua plays for Miami. Once again, traditional team. Not that the Steelers aren't, but the Steelers have this idea where you got to be a man, you got to be tough to be a Steeler. You know what I mean? And Miami's a little bit more finesse and cool and pretty. You know what I mean? So they're going to make a little bit more out of it. Like, look at him. Look at him. You know what I mean? So, you know, and it's just because we've seen crazy things happen after concussion, but it's because he was in 2 games that were magnified that makes it everybody come out and act like they're a neurologist. Okay. So, you know, that's what kills me about social media is that everybody is a profession that they would never go to school for. Like literally, you spent 12 years in school, so you can give me all the advice in the world, even though I can just go to Google just like you did. You know what I mean? Shut up. That's what we all need to start saying to people who are not paid, who are not the paid professionals who are in that business. All right. We can be quick here, Jeff, because this is more like this is 1, 2, 3, Cabo. That's what type of game this is. I say the first is 20 wins this one, Jeff. And you know what? The Texans, believe it or not, they're 2-13-1. Don't matter. Don't matter. This team is played like a team that's 5-11 and that's 5-11 right now. They've actually tried. I think they've been blown out maybe in 4 games this year. But other than that, the Texans going there with the idea that they might want to win the game today too. So I'm gonna take them with the plus 120 because they owe the Colts one from week 1.
Yeah, I flipped it the other way. I just took the Colts on the money line minus 145. I'll win one for Jeff Saturday. He will not be coaching on Sunday next year, as we know. Again, I like the heart of the Texans. They have been fight. I don't know where they stand. They still got the number 1 pick. In my eyes, by the way, I'm not coach or GM there. If I am them, I am trying to trade down, but I'm trying to figure out where I can trade down to so I can get Willie Anderson. I'm going to do what we did before with J.J. Watt, with Clowney, with we talked about this last week with the kid from USC, Cushings, and I'm building from the defense, and then maybe I can trade down and take a swing at the Levi kid from Kentucky or something like that. So we took the Colts minus 145 bucks.
Man, everybody has to understand you don't have to draft a quarterback in this draft. You just don't. You know what I mean? Because the quarterback situation in the NFL ain't getting better. Okay. I think we got 10 really good quarterbacks in the league. And then after that, it's a very average situation. But that's no fault of theirs. It's that because the game has to revert back to what it was. It has to find a middle, in my opinion, Jeff. You know what I mean? You can't just get rid of the run game. You just can't do it because now it's showing up that you just can't get rid of the run game, what they tried to do. You know what I mean? Where the run game is kind of optional. No, the run game is still a little bit more helpful than the passing game. Because if you're blocking and you're tearing somebody's ass up, then you can literally just run the clock all game long. We've seen teams, the best running teams in the league, beat teams by 30. Then we've seen the best passing teams in the league get beat by 30. So we got to find a middle here, Jeff. All right, so we have the Jets and the Dolphins here. And the Dolphins, this is the biggest game that the Dolphins have had in some time because it's the playoffs that matter here. And you know how many times I've seen the Dolphins in a situation where they had to play the Jets to get into the playoffs? Like literally, like half my life. And this kind of reminds me of a game that the Jets played years ago. I know you remember this one too. This is when Montana was on the Chiefs. The Dolphins were at home. They were playing against the Jets, all that good stuff. And the winner gets to the playoffs, but the Jets aren't in that position this year. Dan Marino was the quarterback then too. Jeff, you remember? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
When they got beat, when I think Houston, they played the Jets wound up playing Houston, I think that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no, Montana wasn't in Kansas City yet, but they wound up playing the Oilers that year. They got blown out, but still, the Jets wound up winning that game. But I'm just using that because I always feel like when it comes down to a playoff spot or something like that, the Dolphins have to get through the Jets, and the Jets always figure out a way to kind of just be annoying. But I don't think that happens here. I think what happens here is that the Jets have already been defeated mentally this year because what their coach did in the middle of the season. I know people aren't a Zach Wilson fan, but he was the winningest quarterback out the group. And then when you put so much faith into Mike White, a guy who's literally just an average quarterback at the end of the day, it makes you not look good. I don't know if Salah keeps his job, to be honest with you, Jeff. You know, I know it sounds crazy today, but Black Monday, we saw him fire Brian Flores. Come on. Now, you think Salah safe?
Yes, he is.
He is?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see. Because they'll have to be very impressive on Sunday, in my opinion. They're gonna have to win this game, in my opinion, for Coach to feel safe. For me to feel safe with Coach. So I'm taking the Dolphins. But I'm hearing that Mike McDaniel could be fired, though, for real, though.
Well, the only reason Mike McDaniel would be fired is why would he be fired?
He lost 6 in a row. And
why would he be fired?
And you played Tua multiple times, and he was more than concussed.
Why would he be fired? Take it one step further. One name. That's all you need to know. One name. Sean Payton. And they got to make up for not getting. They got to make up for not getting Drew Brees. The fact of the matter is last year Sean Payton and Tom Brady were both linked to the Dolphins. Then the Brian Flores situation blew up. Then obviously the suing. So Sean takes a year off. Tom comes back, gets coach fired, steps in and goes to Tampa Bay. So that will be one of the hot topics circling. The real key, the whole dominoes will rest on if Dallas loses at Tampa. Jerry will be on the phone on Monday. Sean will be in the building, and he will get that done. Sean Payton will be the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if Dallas finds a way to win in Tampa, McCarthy saves his job for another year. Sean Payton then looks at Miami. I'm hearing rumblings going back to the Saints. He's actually throwing out a nice little curveball that he doesn't mind Arizona. He likes Kyler Murray. That's just PR. So it would be the Dolphins or the Saints. So that's the move there. For me here in this game, I took the flip because I'm hearing Mike Glennon will be the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. It won't be Tua, obviously. It won't be Teddy Bridgewater. It'll be Mike Glennon. I'll take a swing. The whole world was on the Jets last week in Seattle, and Gino and company took it to Mike White and company. I think the Jets get the win here. Hard fought. I think Miami's already on the golf course getting ready. I like the Jets plus the 2. I like them on the money line as well, Pops.
All right. Well, we're going to take another quick commercial break, and that's going to be our last one. And then we're just going to go ahead and get this thing done.
You got it.
All right. So we will be back. And when we do get back, we will be talking to these afternoon games and all that good stuff. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our next game. Jeff, Panthers 6-10. Saints 7-9, 3.5 point spread to the Saints, 41.5. You know what I heard? I'm kind of hearing the same things as well too, but I hear Sean Payton. I heard that Dennis Allen is safe. They had already came out and said he was safe, but we've seen teams come out 3 weeks before the season's over talk about coach is safe and coach is fired. You know, so
well, the Saints are playing coy too, is they want a first-round draft pick for Sean Payton's rights. So if anyone, I mean, Jerry doesn't care. Sean Payton's been linked to Dallas forever. I know they got Dan Quinn. I have Brady Tinker on from Dallas Weekly, and they like Dan Quinn, but they wouldn't fire McCarthy for a lateral move and move Quinn in as the starting coach, the head coach, excuse me. It would definitely be a power move to get Sean Payton. So if Dallas wins, McCarthy's safe.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If Dallas loses, Jerry's all in on Sean Payton, and he will just hand him the contract. You go write it up. As back to Dennis Allen, there's too much behind the scenes that we don't know what's going on. Mike Thomas comes back from injury, has a great game. Next thing you know, turf toe out for the year. They're not using Alvin Kamara effectively. They got that stupid ass tight end Taysom Hill, the quarterbacks, and Andy Dalton quarterbacks the last 8 games of the year. I would love to get Jameis Winston on and to get the scoop. What'd you do? Give us the real truth why you're not playing, because there's got to be some dirt back there on why Jameis is 10 times better. Yeah, he'll throw some pick sixes and stupid, but he'll get you 28 and 30 points. Andy Dalton can't do that. So they're just going through the motions. Yeah, he probably will be safe if they can't get a Sean Payton to come back. But again, something's going on in New Orleans for sure.
I got you. Well, you know what? If I was Sean Payton, to be honest with you, I would take the Texans job. I know it's not available yet, but it's going to be available soon. And I know you looked at me kind of, I know it sounds crazy, but this is the situation where you can build it up from the bottom from the bottom floor. Working for Jerry is working for Jerry. You know what I mean? And Jimmy Johnson, his greatest coach, was even frustrated with him. So why does Sean Payton feel like it's going to work in Dallas? Jerry's
Because
not a great boss.
because the two situations that okay, the one job that was signed, sealed, and delivered was the Chargers, and they steadied the ship, and they going to get into the playoffs, and they could make a decent run here. Why? It's the quarterback. It's the team that is within a real head coach ready to go. So what is the Dolphin situation now with Tua is if Peyton went to Miami, he's bringing Tom with him. Okay. You go to Dallas, you got Dak, you got the running game, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got a great defense. Yeah, you have to be a puppet, but you're a lot closer to a championship than going to a Houston. I don't think Sean wants to go to for the full rebuild. They go and flock to a quarterback. The Arizona situation, there's a lot of holes there, but you got the little guy there, and I think there's too much chaos there for a Sean Payton. He's not going to, the Charger coach is not going to get fired. And again, as you said, Dennis Allen, maybe he's safe. So it is what it is. So the two ready-made teams at this point, if the Dolphins want to make the power move or the Cowboys, and now the Cowboys situation, you got to deal with Jerry. I get that part of it.
Yep. And you know what? Stephen Ross isn't better because he just fires people from what I saw, from what they saying. And he's fired 3 coaches, in the last 5 years. So we'll see. But we have ourselves a pretty good one here. And you know what? We don't have to be long with this because I feel like the Panthers really like their head coach and they're going to help him keep this job. I don't think the Panthers job is available anymore. I think Steve Wilkes is going to they're going to give him an opportunity to coach this team with the full staff because they had no expectations when they fired Rule. And then all of a sudden they were on the brink of winning their division title. If this guy, I think if you had Steve Wilkes have a healthy Sam Darnold throughout the season, they possibly would have won the NFC South. And I think that Sam Darnold has found a home in Carolina, and Carolina is going to be a team that's going to be something to reckon with next year when they have a pretty good draft. I think they're going to have a great draft this year as well too. I like them with the plus 3.5 to go ahead and close out the season with a nice either cover or a nice win, Jeff.
Yeah, the team has made it known they want Wilkes back. They have been playing a lot better. This week we bought the half point, took them up to 4, an opening number of a 40, which is now 41.5. First one to 21 wins here. This is a hard fought 2017. Something like that, 21-20, somewhere in that number. I like the Panthers here. Wouldn't be shocked if they won outright either, Pubs.
All right. So there it is. Panthers across the board. And let's go ahead and get into the oldest rivalry in the AFC. The oldest rivalry. And that's the Browns and the Steelers. And we say the oldest rivalry in the AFC, man. These guys, this is the Hatfields and McCoys, just too bad that the Steelers just had that 20-year stretch of just destroying the Browns, though. It really messed up they had one of the closest win-loss records that you could have for two teams, but the Browns is going to take a while for the Browns to catch back up. So not too long, but you know what I mean, Jeff. But it was crazy. It took the Steelers that whole stretch to even catch up with the Browns because the Browns had a good little run against them for a long, long time. But all in all, this is an NFL rivalry that made the league. We both know this, the orange pants versus the yellow pants. And the Browns have not won that much in Pittsburgh in the last in the last 40 years. I think they probably won 4 times. So I'm thinking to myself that this could be a big, big spot for the Steelers. But I think the Browns want to go ahead and prove some things themselves too, Jeff. You know what I mean? They want to show everybody that, we got Deshaun here. And if we would have been able to have Deshaun a little bit earlier, we probably would have won this division. Because all in all, when you look at rosters, I would say the Browns, other than the receiver position, probably had the best roster in the North. When you look at their defense, when you look at everything that was coming together, if they would have been able to have Deshaun Watson all season, then it would have been a different situation. But Pittsburgh was a team that nobody expected to be here. Everybody expected the Steelers to be in a rebuild situation, and honestly, this to be the final season for Mike Tomlin, because everybody already had Mike Tomlin moving on to another franchise. But that none of that's going to happen now. You know what I mean? I think the Steelers have a lot of confidence in themselves that they can build a future. It's just not going to be like how it was with Ben Roethlisberger. But I still do think that the Browns do get the win here, plus 125, Browns over the Steelers.
We took the Steelers money line. Tomlin again going to get this team to over 500 if my numbers are correct. Again, he's never had a season where he has not been under 500. The number does smell a little to me. It's tended down to your Brown side. You finally saw the Watson to Cooper effect last week. Again, a team that just can't wait to get that final bell, so you get a full off season where Watson can focus on football. Let's go Tomlin time here. Let's get him to 9-8. Another team that is moving in the right direction. Pickett to Pickens. It's been a good. I love Mike Tomlin. I really do. I love everything about him. It'll be a hard-fought game here. The numbers, the total here, opened at 39, now 40. Again, first one to 2021 wins this one. We're going to go Steelers here, Pups.
All right. Okay, so we move on. Let's go ahead and jump into this Eagles-Giants game. We always love a end-of-the-year Eagles-Giants game, huh, Jeff?
Yeah.
All right, so the Giants. And you know what? I had a lot of people try to jump on my little comment the other day. I said that Brian DeBall is the coach of the year. I don't care, Jeff. He's the coach of the year. Then we had somebody come back. Shanahan's the coach of the year. How's Shanahan the coach of the year? You know what I mean? Like, literally, Shanahan, they were 5-4 at one point this season, and the defense turned it on at the right time. They took advantage of a soft NFC West second half of the season because nobody was that good in the NFC West anymore, and nobody was that good, and their schedule really called for them to be this dominant. You know what I mean? Because when they played against a team that was them boys, they got absolutely crushed, and that was the Chiefs. You know what I mean? So if you're a high-end offense, you're going to cook the Niners, in my opinion. But if you're an offense that can be flawed in a sense and they can figure out something with you, then they're going to whoop you. They're going to whoop you, right? But all in all, I truly do think that the Eagles were going to always be at this point of the season where they start losing games because they won so many games early that they took care of their business to get into the playoffs, Jeff. They don't have to worry about, playing great this weekend. But I don't think that they fall all the way off to the point to where they lose this first seed, but I don't think that they cover this game either. I like the Giants with the plus 14. But my point is with the ball is that the ball they had no expectations in New York, okay? You have nothing but expectations in San Francisco to play in the Super Bowl. They were Jeff's choice to play in the Super Bowl. That's a high cosign from somebody in this football world. If Jeff cosigns you, you must be really good, okay? Because if I cosign you, you might be a team that's on the up and up, and you might be something eventually. But that's just me having strong ambition for you. But Jeff, he knows, like if it's the team, it's gonna be the team, okay? So. The ball and crew had no expectations, Jeff, okay? And they absolutely played above and beyond. I became a fan of his coaching after that game one against the Titans because the way that they went about their business and the way coach said, we not quitting in this game. Who do I look like? I'm not McAdoo. I'm not Joe Judge. I'm not going to sit over here yelling and screaming at you about nothing. I'm about to figure out how we can win this game. And that's exactly what he did. And I think the coaches like that are a dime a dozen. And I really do feel like, and I know Giants fans are probably going crazy right now, loving every word I'm saying. This reminds me of when Parcells pulled up in New York. Nobody had expectations for Parcells. They thought he was going to be another bridge coach to whatever coach they was going to get next. And Parcells stepped it up, brought a good staff in there. And then, you know what? 2 championships later, he's considered the greatest coach in Giants history. So it is what it is at the end of the day. It's not about you being great right away. It's about you building into the greatness. And the ball is the type of coach that can build these Giants into a great team.
100% agree with everything that you said there. It was a team preseason that everyone was talking about Dallas. Everyone's talking about the Eagles. They were even talking about the Commanders.
Yes.
And so the key to success, Saquon Barkley stayed healthy all season long. Now, their wide receivers is a whole nother different story there. Nowhere to be found. Their success this year really puts them. I'm not comparing the 2 quarterbacks. I'm not comparing Daniel Jones to Lamar Jackson, but they're in a similar spot now. They either have to franchise Daniel Jones, they either have to give him that next contract. They're not going to move on from him at this point because why? They're in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do off season. I would get rid of a lot of that dead weight in the wide receiver, the wasted money on the Galladays. Slayton has stayed for the most part healthy. The Richie kid has had a good year. They have some pieces in place. The Robinson, the rookie there. It'll be interesting to see. They're in a tough division. I'd like to see them really build from the back end. Those old Giant teams with the LTs of the world. They won on defense and with quarterbacks that didn't make mistakes. I'm not calling Daniel Jones, Phil Simms, or Eli Manning, but I think he could be in those elks of, hey, you are not going to lose the game, sir. You can win it with your legs and not turning the ball over. As for this game, we bought the hook. We took the Eagles down to 13.5. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is back. They want the number 1 seed. Expect an early and often performance. Try to get this game won by halftime of the third quarter. Giants resting everyone. Pops, if you want to meet down in Philly, put on a helmet and some shoulder pads. You and I can get out there for a few plays. But it's Eagles all day for me.
All right. Well, as long as they pay him, I'm good. I'll go ahead and I'll take a broken ankle. All right. So, the last thing I was going to say, and you beat me to it, but we all know the Giants have had three notable quarterbacks: Y.A. Tittle, Phil Simms, and Eli Manning. Everybody else has just kind of just been a bridge to another bridge to another bridge to another bridge.
Did they have Jeff Hostetler too?
Hostetler, that's different. Hostetler was about, you know what? He won a Super Bowl with him, so he's in the group. Okay, he's in the Jeff. He can be in the group, even though it was a Super Bowl they barely scored points in. He can still be in the group. Okay, and he got 2 of them too. So yeah, it's all right. But he was a backup, and literally the defense walked him into the Super Bowl. Let's keep it real. But Hostetler still, hey, you know what? We talked about Hostetler the other day. Who was with me when we talked about Jeff? It was on Mike's show where I talked about Jeff Hostetler and being a big LA Raider fan, being a big LA Raider guy, and Jeff Hostetler having like the greatest season a kid could ever see when they went to the playoffs that year. And that's when I got introduced to Shannon Sharp as well, too, because that's why Shannon Sharp is a game-changing tight end, because tight ends used to just block. But I remember it was the final game of the season in 93, and Shannon was having like a game where he would have scored 40 points in fantasy, Jeff. Seriously, like he was destroying the Raiders. And it was like, and even Bob Papa was like, I can't believe a tight end is doing all this. And then you look at Shannon, it's like, dude is not your average tight end, because tight ends used to be a big, burly, just a guy who could probably move 3 steps, probably running a 5.2 40, you know what I mean? And he was just literally like a more athletic tackle. Now, these guys are just freaks of nature. They're basketball players now. Thanks, Shannon Sharp.
Yes, sir.
All right. So
Antonio Gates, don't forget about him.
But that's years later. We got to talk about the person that's the blueprint to the situation, though.
All right.
You
Well,
think?
I mean, I can go back to Kellen Winslow.
Yeah, well, Kellen Winslow, that guy, freaking nature as well too, and I'm just saying, the game changed immensely from just you being a wide receiver. We went from calling a wide receiver a split end and a flanker. Now we're at this point to where you got 4 wide receivers out on the field each play. So we've came a long way in the NFL.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So we have the Cardinals and the 49ers. And this one is really a game that we don't have to go so far into depth of talking about. We all know that this is going to be Cliff Kingsbury's final game. I told you guys at the top of the year that he was not going to be their coach after this year. Nobody wanted to believe me. Everybody had this idea that, he was going to be able to stick around. It never worked. There were so many coaches that could have been hired to help. But one thing I will say, though, is Kingsbury was almost a really good coach. But him being a little younger and him being a little egotistical kind of has wrapped him up very early here in college, in the NFL. But he'll be able to get himself an offensive coordinator job, or he can just go off into the sunset and just enjoy all that money he made. But all in all, I'm going to take the Cardinals with the plus 14 here. I think that they do cover. I know that it doesn't look like much, but the 49ers aren't going to play that hard, Jeff. I'm going to just keep it real with you. They're not, because they're not trying to get anybody hurt. This is the one team that can't afford anybody. If the Niners get one person hurt here, they're done, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, Arizona, I'm seeing starting David Blough, Blough.
He wasn't bad last week.
No, D-Hop will be sitting out again. Another one already in Cabo somewhere. McCaffrey questionable. The line's 13.5, 14. We bought the hook to 13.5. Again, like I said, with the Eagles, I expect 49ers just to methodically score some points. They'll probably have a pick 6, or the defense will score. I mean, the team, I think that's won 9 in a row now, Pops. Philly desperately needs that 1 seed with the week off, because you don't want to face the Niners until you have to. With that said, I expect the Niners to roll here, Pops.
Right. And you know what? The Niners don't. And honestly, the Niners are a team that doesn't want to take a week off, because I don't know if the Niners can snap back and I don't think they wanted to interrupt their rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even though they would love the bye, Philly needs a bye. But San Francisco, the way that they're rolling right now, they want to just keep the momentum going, because they get a week off. Oh, it's going to be ugly, especially with their quarterback situation. And it's so funny now. Brock Purdy is just the talk of the town, Jeff. But I say, let's go ahead and put him on Houston. Let's see if we get the same results. Let's put him on Tennessee right now. Let's see if he gets the same results. Who else? Let's put him on the Falcons right now. Let's see if he'll be good on the Falcons, because they got some weapons on the Falcons. But
and what it actually does is, and they, again, you talk about falling in the doo-doo here, Mr. Irrelevant, the last man picked in the draft, is the fact of the matter is Jimmy G's a free agent next year. So
right.
Whether he goes to Indy, whether he goes to Miami, or wherever he decides to go, the fact of the matter is now they have freed up so much money at the quarterback spot. They got Mr. Irrelevant and Trey Lance. So whether they hand the ball off to Trey, now the funny thing is if they get a long run in this playoffs, and let's say they're the NFC runner-up, or let's say they get to the Super Bowl, or let's say they win the Super Bowl, Trey Lance could be shit out of luck here. But the fact is they have so much money now in the quarterback between Trey Lance and now Brock is, now they can turn around and pay a Christian McCaffrey. They got stars, and more stars. They have really succeeded because why? The defense is getting healthier. They're the number 1 defense. Christian McCaffrey. Oh, and they've been doing this without Debo. Okay. But George Kittle is now healthy. And when you got him running the seams and breaking tackles and scoring touchdowns. So it's going to be a team. Listen, Father Time and Mr. Rogers, and if they win, obviously, and Tom is still hanging around, but it's the Eagles, and I think the San Fran, one of those teams should be representing the NFC when this is all said and done.
No Cowboys?
I know. They could probably lose to Tom. They're probably going to lose to Tom.
No Cowboy, no Jerry?
They're probably going to lose to Tom.
Jerry, you're the worst owner in the NFL. At least you could pay the rest to help you win the games. Golly. Who do you have to call? You know what I mean? Who did Al Davis used to call? Because Al Davis, the Raiders were so hated that it was like when they would win the game, be like, they were supposed to win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So it's like, Jerry, I think they really don't like you, Jerry. At least, they liked Al a little bit. But I don't think they like Jerry that much, though, Jeff. Because they ain't doing no favors for Jerry. They ain't doing a damn favor for him. The best, the oldest, one of the nastiest rivalry in the NFC East, the Cowboys and the team formerly known as the Redskins, now the Commanders. They're just weird now, huh? It's like watching an expansion team. Like, they just killed the Redskins, and there is no more like Washington history. Like, this is a whole brand new team. You know what I mean? Like, just throw away the Super Bowls, all that stuff. Cowboys, though. I honestly think that the Cowboys have to come into this game with the mentality that they have to win to keep their juices flowing as well, too. And what do the Commanders really have? What are we doing here? The Commanders, their coach didn't even know they would get eliminated if they lost the game. You know what I mean? So the Commanders are a team that really cannot wait for 1, 2, 3 Cabo at this point. But this will be the hottest, to me, the hottest spot for a quarterback that wants to be that is a free agent. So nobody's mentioned this, but this is a perfect landing spot for Derek Carr, especially with Ron Rivera as the coach, and especially the way that this defense has Chase Young in place as well, too. Nobody's mentioned Washington at all. I think Washington would be great for Derek because he's already has dealt with the toxic organization as is. And I would think going to Snyder would possibly be an upgrade for him because, all Mark Davis wants to do is have bad haircuts and be the coolest guy in Vegas. So I like but let's talk about football. I like the Cowboys with the +4. I think the Cowboys probably playing their best football of the season. And I think the Cowboys know that they really can't afford to fall off. They can't have a misstep because they easily could be talking about getting the number 1 spot in the NFC if they don't lose to the Jags. So, love that song too. Like, people do not understand how powerful that song was, Jeff, for 10 years. Like, when that song came on, like, you were really doing something in life. Like, we don't get songs like that no more, where you get a song and it's just a song. It's just a song. But that song used to be like life. You know what I mean? Like, my life's messed up, but I'm getting it together. I hate my job, but I'm still going today. Jeff, go ahead. What are your thoughts on this?
The line is moved now that Dallas is -7, just to let you know. The line is switched. Washington has announced that Sam.
Hold on real quick. Let me address the crowd real quick. The reason why it looks like that is because we did the show on Tuesday, okay? So sorry that it's not accurate, but it is what it is at the end of the day. I didn't feel like switching it, but we had 7 now, okay? I just wanted to go ahead and say that because somebody said Cowboys -7, man. It's just, well, we do the show on Tuesday, so I had all my stuff ready for Tuesday. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Jeff.
That's the announcement that Sam Howell will now be quarterbacking for Washington. That means no Carson Wentz, or obviously no Taylor Heineke there. Like I talked about, the San Fran D and some of the other Ds. Dallas Cowboys can get fat here. It's going to be an early and often show. On the show here, when we did the notes on Tuesday, I took the Commanders -4. They're catching 7 now. I still don't like it, but I'll stick to the script. Dallas wants to work on some stuff. Keep everyone healthy, knowing that next week they'll be heading to sunny Tampa to face Tom in not just the biggest game of the year. There's a lot of jobs on the line here. This Dallas team was once with the number 1 defense in the NFL, with one of the best running games, with CD Lamb. They hit some bumpy spots. Now they got a quarterback and a coach that you can replay the tape last year in the playoffs that fumbled no pun intended there, the last play, not to get their field goal kicker out there to win the game. So heads will roll next Sunday or Saturday, whenever they play. We got the Commanders here, but it looks like this could be a Dallas early and often, Pops.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about Chargers, Broncos. And what I tell you, Jeff, I said the Chargers will not lose a game for the rest of the season. Right after they got that win, I looked at their schedule and I said they're not losing to anybody else this year.
Well,
but they could lose this game though. They really could.
They're on paper to lose this game. How's that sound?
They're on paper to lose this game, and they haven't won in Denver in some time. You know that.
And it'll be just Russ being Russ, having one of those stupid games, and just so everyone remembers that. Which again, coach is already gone, and if they had an opportunity to do it all over again, I don't think if they could get out of Russ's contract, I think they'd do it in a heartbeat. But unfortunately, it is what it is. A lot of wide receivers that were hurt throughout the year. I'm a big Tim Patrick fan, which again, a lot of people say, who? Yeah, he's got the best hands on the team. Jerry Jeudy coming on, Sutton having a good last stretch. There'll be a team, again, they're in a tough spot, a tough division. They might be thanking the lucky stars that Josh McDaniel is in that division, still obviously chasing the Chiefs. But it is what it is. We took the Broncos here right now, +3.5. We bought the hook, -120. Currently in Vegas as we speak, Broncos are -1.5. It is 2 in a couple spots, but I like the Broncos here, not just to cover, but to win outright, Pops.
Well, I feel that, and I think that you know what? I think that Russ and squad showed last week when they got that sorry coach out of there, they were pretty good. You know what I mean? But I think they was just showing out because it was the Chiefs as well too, and the Chiefs weren't taking them as seriously as they should. So I want to see Russ with a better better play caller next year. You know what I mean? A better coach, and then the jury's out. Now, if he's awful next year, get rid of him. You know what I mean? Get rid of him. But there's somebody out there that will take that contract. You know that, Jeff. You know somebody will take that contract in a heartbeat. All right, so I'm taking the Chargers with the -175. Jeff, where are you going with this?
Broncos +3.5.
All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead, move a little faster. We got the Seahawks and the Rams. This game is going to be in Seattle as well, too. You have the Rams 5-11. They've won this team since going 2-1 earlier on in the season. This team is now 3-10. So, this to me is the Baker gets to keep a job with the team situation. And I say Baker gets to keep that job because what happens is that you have a guy in Baker Mayfield that probably will be the future of the Rams for the next few seasons. Let's keep it real. They have no draft picks, Jeff. They have no money to pick up a free agent. And Matt Stafford can say he's going to be sticking around, but he's just going to keep being hurt. Let's keep it real. But I do think that since this game is so critical for Seattle, one thing Sean McVay will tell his team this week, we're not going to the playoffs, but we can't spoil this thing for our rivals, the Seahawks. And I know that's the mentality that they have going in there. I know the Rams don't have much. But at the end of the day, though, they still have pride. And I think pride's going to show up here. And I like the Rams with the +4.5.
I looked at this game and same thing. I bought the hook, took the Rams to 5. The line makes no sense. Big win for Gino and company last week, keeping their thoughts alive. Again, a loss here means the Lions are already eliminated. Now the Lions would then go in every trick play in the book to keep the Packers out, which would be kind of comical as well. So we took the Rams plus the 5. If Seattle wins, I think it'll be a lot closer. I like the Baker job that he's done. Again, as you can see, if you go back week to week, just the problem with him, he's just too inconsistent. McVay's got some issues to decide, is this what he really wants to do? Does he need a couple years off? Maybe to go to Amazon, make $1 million a game for $18 million for the year and do some co-hosting and some color commentary there. Does Darnold come back? Does Stafford come back? Yada, yada, yada. So, listen, you guys were the Super Bowl champs last year. No one can take the trophy away. God bless you guys. You'll be back next year, and we'll see if you cover the 5 as well, Pops.
I'm not a Rams fan, right?
No, I know that.
I live in LA, but that don't mean that's my team. You know what I mean? But I got you. I just had to jazz with you real quick. Did we talk Bucks Falcons?
No, that was way up top, and you skipped it.
Well, because Bucks Falcons real quick. We can be real quick here. I like the Falcons money line, as you can see, and I like the Falcons. Jeff,
the line right now, again, another flip. Falcons was 7, then 5, down to 4. What we do here, we took them, we bought the half down to 2.5, which again in the line that you gave me, I think was 3. Tampa, sole focus, don't get hurt. Get ready for next weekend against the Dallas Cowboys. See Falcons go off with a win to end the year, Pups.
All right. So this is the game of Sunday night football. So if you're in the Sunday night football game, week 18, your game is very, 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 very important. So literally they're telling us Seattle is going to lose, Jeff, in my opinion. Because the theater for this game isn't going to work if Seattle wins. You know what I mean?
Well, if Seattle wins, isn't it the winner of that game's in? Or you're saying if Seattle wins, the only team that can get in is the Packers?
If Seattle wins, then they need the Packers to lose to get in.
Okay.
And Detroit needs Seattle to lose, and then they need to beat the Packers to get in.
I got you.
When all the Packers got to do is win.
Got you.
Yeah, because Packers have the best record against the conference right now. They got 7 wins against the conference. I think it's 7 wins against the conference right now. So I think that when you come down to this one, I think that America's team is going to win this game. And America's team is not the Dallas Cowboys. America's team is the Detroit Lions. Everybody loves some Lions this year. Everybody, the biggest joke of Hard Knocks you'll ever see in your life, Jeff. But they really stepped it up. Plus 180 to the Lions. Shout out to my team. Shout out to my players as well, too. Jamal Williams and Amon St. Brown. You guys are absolutely incredible. LA Waves champions. That's what we do. St. Brown, I can't believe I got St. Brown like the 5th round too, Jeff. That was nuts. I didn't get a running back until like the 6th round, and that was 18.
No, and then didn't you fall into doo-doo? Didn't you get Jacobs too?
No, I didn't. I had Jacobs last year.
Yeah, same year, and then he was a star. You won't get St. Brown in the 5th round next year either, so remember that.
No, I already have it set up right, man. My mentality is right. I'm not doing what fantasy people tell you to do. Go get the running back first play. No. No. I went and got who I felt would be the best player for my team. I went and got Josh Allen first. So he runs the ball too.
The game what we did here, yeah, we took the Lions +5. We bought the hook. Again, the whole world will be on the Packers. We like the Lions here. Listen, I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions did win. I would be fun to see them as a spoiler here and, pull out all the trick plays. Listen, huge Swift fan, huge St. Brown fan. They brought the kid over from Alabama, Williamson. Goff, listen, for all the haters out there, Goff can make every throw. So, and Dan Campbell's a hell of a coach. He's had a good year. The team is fun. They're fun to watch. Packers dead and buried, go to the bye week, and that's all they've done is kept winning. Everything broke perfectly. Now, of course, NFL is happier than a dog in doo-doo because they got, Dallas versus Tampa next week. They still got Brady in there, and then in comes the old man Rodgers, who in 2010, his only Super Bowl appearance and victory, they won all 3 games on the road. So it's set up again if they make that glory run where, listen, A.J. Dillon has finally awoken. They have Aaron Jones. Christian Watson has emerged as the go-to guy. They got Alan Lazard, old man Cobb, defense playing a lot better. Do I expect them to beat an Eagle team, a 49er team? No. Can they play against a Dallas, a Tampa, a Minnesota team? Sure they can. But I don't expect them to beat the elite of the elite. But we'll see. It's Rodgers and company. But we took the Lions +5. We'll see what happens, Bubs.
All right, there it goes. And there it goes. And that is wrap on this year's show. I know that we don't do the playoffs, but
Playoffs.
Playoffs. You know what I mean? Because we could talk playoffs if we wanted to, but it's the regular season. You know how it goes, Jeff. But we may be able to bless you guys with a quick playoff show and everything like that. It's all depends on schedule and things of that nature. But all in all, another great year. This was our 3rd year as well, too, Jeff. We missed a few weeks because of the unfortunate situation of my father's passing. But all in all, once again, I thank you so much for being my partner in crime. And now he's big time. Now he got 25 shows he does daily. So I can only get him for so long. So pretty much you guys make sure you guys keep supporting everything Jeff's doing because he's the absolute best at doing what he does. The original sports investor company. You know what I mean? It's what you guys got to understand. Still number 1 on Google too. All right. So thank you, Jeff. Any final parting words?
No, it's amazing that we have now completed our 3rd year. Obviously, it's been a great year for both of us, +22, +18, 19 games going into last week. Can't hit you guys over the head any harder when you have to understand it's a week-to-week grind. What we did last week doesn't matter what we do this week. So the NFL, you got to pick your spots. If you go in every Sunday thinking you're going to make $1 million, you're going to be dead broken. You're going to end up playing the $5 parlay cards at every casino or sports book, and they're there for a reason. Me and Pops are the original OGs. You can take a look at our timelines. We've been here forever. Everyone just, the best form of flattery is people copying you, and that's what's happening. Yes, we still have the number 1 ranking on Google for sports investors. Yes, we're damn proud of it. Yes, we have just started our 8th year of public service, but we hope to be here another 8, 10, 20, 30 years if we can. But stick to the script, stick to the program, stick to the guys that put their face out there on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis, that don't change their names, that don't hide, run and hide. That's what it's all about. Trust isn't free, it's earned, and it's a 2-way street. And that's what me and Pops preach. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis. Blessed and honored to be a part. Look forward to year 4, but we got a lot more stuff to conquer before we start year 4, Pops.
Yes, sir. There's so many things, but I thank you, Jeff. You're the absolute best, brother. And, I can't wait till we get this done, till we get into it next year as well too. You know what I mean? But you guys make sure to catch Jeff's all of Jeff's great programming and things like that. You also have me with the Primetime Angles on a daily basis. We're probably not going to have a show today because there's not a lot of sports to talk about. You know, NBA is kind of off today. So we got 4 games in the NBA, a bunch of games in college. But all in all, Jeff, I know he got to go. He's given me more than enough time today. I thank you very much. I thank you guys very much for tuning in. You guys are the absolute best. This is the NFL Bet Exchange, and that's a wrap for the 2022 season right there. So Toodles. So with that, we are out of here.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was produced by the Prime Wave Media Group.